Match made in the military. Reports of Leonor's new love interest. A future queen. A secret routine. A place where duty rules, until rumor breaks it. They said her military training was all discipline. But suddenly, whispers. Unexpected. Unapproved. Unbelievable. A name emerges. A possibility forms. And now, everything we thought we knew about Princess Leonor's heart is about to take a shocking turn. Princess Leonor of Spain, heir to the throne, future queen, the young woman who has spent her entire life walking the razor's edge between public expectation and private longing. For years, the world has watched her grow from a shy child into a poised young leader. And yet, there is something about her military training that the palace never fully prepared her for. Not the drills, not the discipline, not the separation from royal comforts, but the unexpected human connections. Connections the palace never hoped, or expected, to manage. Because while the public believed her training was purely symbolic, insiders knew better. Leonor wasn't simply present in Spain's elite military academies, she excelled. She immersed herself. She earned respect the hard way. Where others saw a crown, the cadets saw something else. A teammate, a peer, a woman with grit, determination, and surprising vulnerability. But in that environment, something else was growing, quietly, naturally, inevitably. A rumor, a whisper, a name, a possible love interest, and the deeper question, how does an heir to the Spanish throne navigate feelings in an environment where emotions are both unavoidable and forbidden? This is where our first curiosity loop opens. Who is he? Where did he come from? And why is everyone suddenly talking? At the Zaragoza Military Academy, Leonor found herself surrounded by structure, regimented days, endless protocols, and a culture built on obedience, sacrifice, and honor. But beneath the uniformity, there is something uniquely human about military life. People bond under pressure. They build trust quickly. They lean on each other during the tough moments, and celebrate small triumphs others never see. Sources describe Leonor as disciplined, friendly, and approachable, an unusual mix for someone destined to rule a nation. And exactly that, is where the rumor began. Because allegedly, during one of the Academy's grueling field exercises, Leonor formed a connection with someone the palace did not anticipate. A fellow trainee, a young man known for his calm, steady demeanor, and quiet intelligence. Someone who allegedly helped her during a particularly exhausting navigation drill in the heat of Aragon. Someone who didn't treat her like a princess. Someone who treated her like an equal. And that simple act, humble, respectful, genuine, was enough to spark something. Or, at least, to spark whispers. But whispers spread quickly inside academy walls. And even faster outside them. Which leads us into our next curiosity loop. Was this simply camaraderie? Or was this the beginning of something more meaningful? Reports from those close to the training environment speak of subtle moments. Moments so small, they could easily be misinterpreted. Or easily be completely true. A glance held a little longer than usual. A quiet conversation away from the larger group. A shared smile after completing a particularly brutal obstacle course. A moment of private encouragement before a major exam. Tiny details. The kind you only notice when two people naturally connect. And yet, those tiny details generate the loudest speculation. Because what the palace cannot control, the cadets can observe. Some claim that this young man was always respectful, always cautious, always aware of Leonor's unique situation. He reportedly avoided drawing attention, avoided doing anything that could embarrass her, or worse, undermine her training achievements. But others insist they noticed something unmistakable. A growing sense of protectiveness. An unspoken understanding. A bond forming where one should not exist. And most importantly, what does the palace think? In every royal story, there is the public narrative. And then there is the palace reality. Whenever whispers reach the Zarzuela palace, especially whispers involving Leonor's personal life, royal aides allegedly respond with remarkable speed. Not with public statements. Not with denials, not with confirmations, but with silence and surveillance. Insiders say that palace officials did become aware of the early rumors. Not because the media reported them, but because the military environment is tightly interconnected, and any rumor involving a future queen travels upward almost instantly. The palace's first reaction, to determine whether the connection, if real, posed a risk. Not a romantic risk, a constitutional one. A future monarch cannot be entangled in situations where privacy isn't guaranteed. A romance inside the academy, especially with someone not vetted, not prepared, and not protected, could become a vulnerability. Despite their concerns, there is no evidence that the palace intervened directly. No sudden schedule changes, no unexplained transfers, no adjustments to her training routine. And that absence of action is what fuels even more questions. Royal commentators, military insiders, and Spanish tabloids have all tried to identify the alleged young man. But without confirmation, the speculation falls into a few possible profiles. A young man from a respected military family. Disciplined, educated, well-regarded. Someone who naturally fits into the values of the royal household. This is the most widely believed possibility. Someone without noble ties. A merit-based cadet. Someone who earned their position purely through capability and character. This would be much more controversial, and therefore much more tantalizing to the public. Someone deliberately unspoken. Someone the Academy protects out of respect for Leonor. Someone who may exist in the rumors but not necessarily in the way the public imagines. The truth, still unknown, but the curiosity loop remains. If he exists, why is he being protected? And what does that say about his connection to Leonor? Leonor stands at a crossroads that many royals never fully escape. On one side, duty, responsibility, nation, legacy. On the other, love, humanity, connection, companionship. The people often forget that royals, especially heirs, do not date casually. Every relationship carries implications, political ones, public ones, symbolic ones. And Leonor, more than anyone, understands the weight of expectation. But she is also 18. A young woman allowed to feel attraction, allowed to feel admiration, allowed to feel curiosity, perhaps even affection. And the palace, for all its control, cannot control what she feels internally. This is why the story matters. Not because of gossip, not because of drama, but because it reveals something profoundly human. Even a future queen cannot predict where her heart may lead her. Military academies are built to eliminate distraction. They run on structure, discipline, and focus. But ironically, they are also places where deep emotional bonds are formed. Shared struggle creates closeness. Shared pain builds connection. Shared achievement builds admiration. And admiration often becomes something more. This is why military romances, though discouraged, are incredibly common. They form naturally, effortlessly, unintentionally. If Leonor felt drawn to someone, it wouldn't be surprising. If someone felt drawn to her, it would be inevitable. Not because she is a princess, but because she is human. And humanity is the one thing the palace cannot script. This leads into the next curiosity loop. Could this connection survive outside the academy walls? When Leonor returns home on weekends or during short breaks, palace insiders say her family, notably Queen Letizia, often checks in with pointed questions. Motherly questions, strategic questions, queenly questions. Is everything going smoothly? Are you getting along with the other cadets? Is there anyone special you trust? Some say these conversations were simply routine. Others say they were attempts to detect whether the rumors had any truth. But here is the emotional core of this moment. Leonor is at the age where she wants independence. She wants privacy. She wants to define her own path, even if it leads somewhere unexpected. Queen Letizia, known for her protective instincts, likely sees the risks. King Felipe, known for his calm pragmatism, likely sees the long-term implications. Yet both understand something vital. This is Leonor's journey, her heart, her future. And they cannot choose for her. Which leads to the next loop. If Leonor were to pursue this quietly, would the palace eventually accept it? Royal relationships always provoke strong public reactions. But Leonor's situation is unique. She is the first queen in waiting Spain has seen in centuries. She is young, accomplished, and admired worldwide. Her every move shapes public opinion about the future of Spain's monarchy. So when rumors of a military romance surfaced, the response was immediate. Some fans were thrilled, some skeptics were suspicious, some traditionalists were concerned, and some young people found her relatable for the first time. A future queen with a crush. A whispered romance. A human story behind the crown. It makes Leonor feel closer. More real. More like someone living a life that mirrors millions of young adults, balancing responsibility with emotion, expectation with the unknown. But as with every public reaction, there is another question. Could public fascination pressure the palace into making decisions sooner than planned? The reason this story resonates is not because of scandal, not because of intrigue, not because of royal drama. It resonates because it asks a powerful, emotional question. Can a future queen choose her heart without betraying her destiny? And beneath that question lies another. Can love blossom in a place built for discipline, not emotion? This story, the alleged military love interest, represents a turning point. Not because it's confirmed, not because it's denied, but because it reflects the universal struggle. Duty versus desire, expectations versus individuality, the crown versus the heart. Leonor stands at a moment of profound transition. A moment where every choice matters. A moment the world is watching with wonder, fear, hope, and endless curiosity. And whether the mysterious cadet exists or not, whether this bond is true or exaggerated, one truth remains undeniable. Princess Leonor is stepping into adulthood, into love, into leadership, into a future shaped not only by history, but by her own heart. This is not just a royal rumor. It is a story about becoming. About discovering who you are under the weight of a crown. About finding courage in unexpected places. About trusting your instincts, even when the world watches every move. Whether this military match becomes a real chapter in Leonor's life, or a fleeting whisper carried away by time, one thing is certain: this is only the beginning. Princess Leonor's journey, her heart, her destiny, her future, is just starting to unfold. And the world will be watching. Always.